Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Oh, here we go again. Hello again, everyone. Yes, we are back. We're here to interview another person. It's your two dads. It's actually your three dads. You know how this thing goes. If you've listened before, if not, then, well, I don't know. Join the ride, I suppose. Thank you for coming along for this first time, and we hope you come back again. Today, Dan and Sam and I are talking to a pretty interesting dad. His name is Caleb Potts. He comes from down south USA, and he has quite the story to share with us. Usually when we get a guest on, we really have a lot of questions that we plan to share with you guys, things we want to know about them specifically. But this time around, he's told us some things that really piqued our interest, and we just want him to kind of share things at his own pace, share his story, as he wants to. He's also the first ever listener to come on the show, so that's kind of cool. We've been asking for you guys to do that for like fucking ever. And it's like, I don't know, maybe my mic cuts out when I get to that part or something. I don't know. I mean, you guys listen like every week, but it's like, that's it. I don't want to participate. I don't want to speak to you. I just want to hear your voice in my ear for an hour every week. And that's it. So finally, we found a guy that's going to take that extra step, put himself out there and share his story. So Caleb, man, we thank you for coming on. I know that you've been pretty busy today. I'm glad that you were able to find the time to talk to us. And I guess, go ahead, introduce yourself, man, and tell us about Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb Potts. Appreciate you having me on. I'll gladly tell my story because I thought I was the only one until I started watching you guys. So yeah, appreciate it. And I guess I could start with my very first experience as far as being a father, because it was pretty powerful, and it was the beginning of everything that is now. He'll turn 21 October the 10th this year, and he was actually my ex-wife's son. She was pregnant with him when she jumped over the border on her dad's work visa and stayed. He was 4 years old when I met his mother in Houston, Texas, and some particular circumstances here in Mississippi got me to Houston, Texas, how I met her. And we got pretty serious, talked about having a kid, but first moved him in to see how he would, adjust or whatever, see if it would even work. And that was my first experience in Houston, Texas, in apartments, not real good jobs at all, but doing okay, and living and loving life somewhat at that time, both of us enjoying the hell out of it. So yeah, it was a real good experience. And Haniel is his name. Like I said, he'll be 21 October 10th. Him, there was a course of time here recently, a couple years back, that I didn't see either one of my kids from down in Texas, and he was actually the one that broke that mold and told his mother, "Hey, I'm graduating high school now. This stuff's been going on too long. You've been keeping my dad, from coming, and I'm not gonna walk unless you let them come." Pretty powerful stuff, coming from a non-biological kid, but the way we raised him, especially when his sister came along in 2008, there was no stepson, there was no stepdad, nothing like that. did everything, sports, everything, just like he was my kid. And like having him do something like that at a real vulnerable time, 2.5 years. That was at the 2.5 year mark that I hadn't seen my kids. Now I talk to him on the phone. My son a lot less than my daughter, but she and I, we had to get creative how we would talk to one another. Like some real bad stuff comes out, and they use my past to keep me out of that town for quite some time. And having a kid changed that all in a blink of an eye. So first experience to a positive. I guess I could go to where I'll go to Valentina's birthday, 2008. She's 14 now. She'll be 15 in December. She lives here now. She was in living in Uvalde when the school got shot up down there. And after the divorce in 2016, we had them set up in a house right across the street from Robb Elementary, where that kid was, where bullets was flying, essentially. One of her teachers she was pretty close with got killed, and her friend got killed in that school. And she hadn't been to Mississippi in 3 years, but she told her mom after school let out she was going to move here. And just all of a sudden, boom. And at that point, the things that my ex-wife had done, I'm not going to go into that because I'm not a big fan of like running anything on my exes or nothing like that. But it actually caught up to her. At some point here, I had to be patient, let go, let God, essentially, or whatever you want to call it. And because here's the bonus, I had another little son here. He was around 2 years old when all this started happening, with another woman here in Mississippi. It was call her baby mama. I don't know if it's appropriate, but no names.
That'll work. That'll work.
She was a real particular one, and she let drugs get the best of her. We'll just leave it at that. And at one point, my two and a half, he's almost 3 years old at that point, son, usually excited about coming here, getting on the four-wheeler with me and doing something out here on the farm. And this day, nothing. And she had been allowing this fella to manipulate her and not letting him see me for a while. So I'd already been talking to some attorneys. At that point, I said no more. And the next day, I went ahead and paid the attorneys and turned him loose. I had done give her a fair warning. Hey, I'm keeping him. I'm not going to let him come back at all until you get clean, prove you're clean, and do all this. We could do it outside of court. Now we don't have to do this. I try to do everything as level as I can because I've been on that other side of the fence. I keep that in mind because karma's huge. I'm going to leave it at that. So she decided to go elsewhere, and I let the lawyers do their thing, and I got custody of him this like last February was when that finalized. Man, she never showed up not a day in court. She don't care about this kid, man. So I'll make sure I do. And the bonus, another bonus right after that. See, I'm not talking about all the suffering that I was doing in between. June of that year, last year, it was when Valentina moved here. So I got custody of Blaze in February, and then Valentina moved here the end of June. And then here I am, all of a sudden, boom, surprise, single father of two. And it took about a year to do all of the court stuff with Blaze, and the whole time this is still going on down there, but we found a way to live and, just survive, I guess, with them being down there and us not to be able to see each other. So that was real unexpected when it happened. I was not prepared for it at all. I was staying single for Blaze because all that time during court and whatnot. And when she moved here, I couldn't do it to the woman that was interested in me, and I've had to tell them that I'm not going to be able to give you the time necessary for us to be in a relationship. You're going to need more time than I'm capable of giving you because I've got to give this to the kids. My daughter chose me, and that judge chose me with my son. So that's the gist of all this.
That's that's some serious stuff, man.
Pretty incredible.
When you shared some of it through the messages on TikTok, and I could tell that it was some pretty deep stuff, and some emotional stuff, and you are I don't know, I can't read you, I'm not a good person or a good person to read strangers or anything like that, so I don't know who you are in regular life, but I get the feeling that you might be shortchanging yourself on how good a dad you are, because you kind of, like I said, I'm terrible at it, but you kind of give this humble kind of attitude, and I feel like that kind of bleeds over when you talk about these things, it's like just a matter of fact thing for you to say, oh, I can't be with a woman because I can't give her the time. But that's fucking huge, man. To know that, for one, to be devoted to your kids enough that you could just put off sex basically on the regular. And then, just to be smart enough, wise enough, whatever, to know that I have so much of me I can give, and I, I'm not gonna be able to give it to all these people at the same time. I kind of feel like you are, like most of us hope to be, a step above where you probably, if you rate yourself at a 5 or something like that, then you're probably more like a 7 or an 8, something along those lines. I feel like you might be kind of hard on yourself, but as we do, I don't want to make you talk the whole time. So I'm going to give my co-host a little bit of time to get out something they might be interested in, something that might be on their minds as far as what you've said. So, like always, Dan, why don't you go ahead and take this first and see if there's anything that you got to throw out there into the wind.
Right on. I want to just say thank you for coming on, and thank you for listening, and salute to you for doing, what by any means necessary to provide for your kids. That's seems to be lost in today's world, where we just stick them with a tablet or a TV and just say, entertain yourself. And, not that we don't care. I say we, but not that they don't care about their kids, but they just, don't have the time, quote unquote, to deal with them. But you carved out, and it seems like from, I'm going to echo what Corey said, that you carved out a path for them, and you basically put your life on hold for them. And that's, as parents, that's what we need to do for our kids. We need to stand behind them 110%, no matter what, and do what's best for them, and put our, it sucks we have to put ourselves on hold, but that's what our kids deserve. And it'll come back to you, man. Like you said, karma's a big thing. You'll get what, you'll get what you deserve coming to you in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in 100% good way. But yeah, I don't really have any questions. I just wanted to let you know that, we need more fathers like you in the world that will sacrifice their whole life for their kids.
Yeah. I just want to add on to what Dan said. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you guys are right. I've kicked my own butt for forever in everything throughout life. It's probably the childhood I had. Dad was special forces, airborne, Green Berets during Vietnam. So that's what this war room's all about, like his legacy or whatever. But I never joined the military, but I got that. I constantly, not necessarily driving to be better, but like wondering why I didn't do it as good as the potential I had to do, because I found myself being lazy a whole lot.
I mean,
Same.
yeah, I'm the same way, bro. With the laziness, I feel
Yeah.
like I kind of excuse it a little bit because we see it, you know, like we know that we are being lazy. We know that we need to do better. So that puts us a step ahead of a dad that, you know, doesn't even really notice how bad he is or doesn't care if he does notice. So, you know, it's like we see that there's a problem and we know that we need to work on it. And the next step is just to continue to do that. So it's just really a matter of putting in the time and being dedicated. And you show just in your words that you are definitely dedicated. As I was going to say, on top of what Dan said, you made this decision, you know, to be there for your kids when you didn't have to. Like, it's not like there's
Right.
a law that made you, you know, be a good dad. You've chosen to do that just based on your own morals and you know, how much you love your kids. Like, my dad is a piece of shit and he's sick right now and I don't give a fuck. And it's because he just didn't, he, you know, he said he cared, you know, he said lots of things, but he was never there. He never put in the time. He never put in the effort. And you are doing that when you don't have to. So, you know, congrats to you on that. With Dan being kind of done for the moment, Sam, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, Caleb, like I said, you had an incredible story just from what little bit we've talked already, and it seems like you've decided because of your past trauma, pains, and the struggles that you've went through from from childhood on up until your adult time here, that you've decided to focus on giving love to your children, giving love to your family, despite the adversities. And that, instead of passing on your grief that you've experienced and your sadness, um, you've decided to, like I said, share love and show love and kindness because you recognize what it's like to be on the other side of the fence, or you understand what it's like to be in a struggle, and you understand, what it's like to not have the love, have somebody to have your back, or to have the support and the guidance that your children are looking up to you for. And even though you've went through these trials and these times and stuff before, this situation that you're in right now, your kids still look up to you and they remembered how you treated them. They remembered what you did for them. They understood as they grew older the sacrifices you made on their behalf. And that's coming back, and it's coming back to you in kind. Like I said, with you getting custody of your children, you're finding yourself in hopefully a better position and a better situation now, and maybe even with some happiness in your life. And if we're going through that struggle, you're not alone. You're not alone in that. There's countless other dads, countless other families out there that have experienced some things like that. And I'm not trying to minimize, marginalize anything that you went through at all, because it's very serious, and it can have a lot of effects, a draining effect on your health, a draining effect on your personality. It just bogs you down just to leave the house every day. Some of us understand that. And like I said, my
Yeah.
hat's off to you. My hat's off to you for, getting up every day and doing what you need to do and making sure that you take care of your kids the best way you know how, despite the circumstances that that life throws at you. So, just keep on. There's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Who can tell you when? Not me. I don't know when that's going to be for you, but if things are starting to pick up for you right now, I hope they are, and I'm happy for you if your life is turning around for the better in some
Oh,
ways.
as soon as I got custody of Blaze, things picked up for me. I'm talking about even at work. They noticed it. They thought it was because I'd moved to a different department. I says, no, what you guys are not hearing about, what you're not remembering is I'm in court with my son on a custody thing. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was amazing. The wait I'm talking about after that last court date is just, and I cried too because he, just as you guys are saying right now, like he finally made me realize, dang, like I'm doing this, and this is super important for this kid. And my dad wasn't a piece of shit. He was just different. He loved to stay in the woods. He was stuck back there, but he could still function normal out here, but he was so damn quiet. like you didn't know how to take him, and he was a serious death trap, man. He was a lethal man, and I was the only son, like, so I got that. I got those Sub-Zero training and sleep deprivation and multi-weapons before I'm 10, 11 years old. And all this war knowledge in my head, mom and him get into it. They didn't divorce, but he moves up on the ranch in Tennessee with my uncle, his brother. So I would see him 3 or 4 times a year, going up there to hunt or during the summertime for a visit or something like that. It was mom taking me to baseball practice, to the baseball games, things like that. During my important years, I guess, through a teenager, he didn't move back till Uncle Ray got killed down in Texas, and I think that was my junior or senior year in high school. I'm already out in the street banging, man. And that's another thing I had to say. I do appreciate y'all, giving me some props here. I'm gonna kick myself a little bit, guys, but I have to hold myself accountable because I won't turn back. 2015 is when I dropped this life, but it was terrible. I was a terrible human being back then, and I was a part of and did some things that I can't even discuss, So, and that, oh Lord, I think what happened is I should have joined the military, but I didn't. I joined this other military in the streets, and I was raised right. I did every bit of that to myself. My parents was good parents, even him. Yeah, it was difficult at sometimes, but love my parents, love my mom. God rest Daddy's soul. He's a good dude. He just built for war. That's what that man was built for. Um, but I did turn it around, and when I decided to not go back, I was serious about it. And my move back to Mississippi after Dad died, I stayed out here on a farm because it was just mom, my sisters, and their husbands. They don't care nothing about this. We got horses, we got animals, we got we got tons of chickens, man. Like kitchen's full of eggs too. Like so, and that's the other thing. Us as fathers, if shit hit the fan. I'm sorry. SHIT.
Go for it.
Whatever.
No, you're good. You're good.
If
Shit.
it hits the fan, like we're gonna have to, we're my 5-year-old. He can't self-sustain, but us as a family out here, not an issue. And I've got trees already picked out at the end of the lanes that'll disconnect the highways from everything, and a bridge on the other end. So, like I don't know, and that got instilled in me too. Not a prepper or nothing like that, and I don't freak out about stuff, but I've always been good with guns and hunting and trapping and stuff like that. Come from Dad, good knowledge and stuff like that. So just having the pressure of thinking about that now is kind of something too. During all of this nonsense, I was drinking myself to death. And I got the perfect shirt on. I haven't had a drop in a month. I found myself drinking every day a little bit over a month ago, and I was like, nope, I gotta stop this. So I set it down completely. I'm glad I'm capable of doing that because about 10, 15 years ago, I couldn't do that at all.
Hats off to you. Alcohol addiction is a terrible thing. I'm telling you, it is a powerful. I mean, it's a disease. I mean, it really is. Alcohol addiction is a terrible thing. I could share some commonality with you about that. I went through months and years of AA meetings myself, and I was a daily drinker. I mean, I had to have gallons on me all the time. I always had to at least have a couple cases of beer, not spend an absorbent amount of money on it, and it was ridiculous. I shouldn't have done it, and I was sick. I didn't see the writing on the wall. It cost me a heavy price, but after I decided to make the decision to be sober and not look back, I haven't touched the stuff in several years now, and from one function, I mean, one dry alcoholic or one alcoholic to another. Like I said, congratulations for doing that. I mean, it's a very big decision to make, and it'll change your life. And I'm really glad to hear that you've been able to kind of keep that under control in and of yourself. It's a tough thing to do.
Oh yeah, definitely is rough. I we was living here in Mississippi. I was married to my ex-wife. We had Valentina. She was probably 4 or 5 years old, and I think Haniel was about 7 or 8. It was 2012. We was family over here, and I got a decent job. I'm working horses too. I was breaking and training and trying to breed a little bit as well. I was super busy with drinking all the time, and it was easy because I was supervisor and they didn't mess with me so long as I made their paycheck. You know, their $3,500 bonus check every month. They wouldn't say a word to me, so it was just too easy for me to get by with it. And I put myself in rehab. I went down to Florida for 3 months, and I knew I didn't want to just quit drinking forever because I was young still, and I, it was one of the things. So I wanted more control than anything. But I found out if you ever start doing it on a daily basis, it will reach out and grab you by the throat and keep you as long as it wants you. And if you and main thing I was weak minded back then, real weak minded, and they cut me down, especially these women. I mean, they made me feel like I was exactly what they were saying I was, and it felt terrible, terrible.
Alcohol is a big part of my family too. It's a reason my dad is in the position he's in. He actually, though, unlike you, where you have voluntarily, been able to quit seemingly for as long as you want. If you can go a month, you could probably stop forever if you wanted. But my dad was in jail for like, I don't know, 1159 or 1129, whatever it was. For those of you at home, that means just short of a year. And he cleaned up over there. He cleaned up off of Xanax and alcohol. And first thing he did when he got out, went right back to drinking. And I never understood that. You had a chance to turn things around. You were in the best shape, best health that you had been in who knows how long. And he just chose to dive right back in. And he has never, he got off of, or he stayed off the Xanax and went to Valium. And then got off the Valium, and now he's just on the alcohol and opioids. So give him a little bit of credit, for the bit that he has done. I don't want to completely shortchange him. It doesn't speak well of me to talk shit about my dad, but my dad is a piece of shit, and so it's hard for me to expect like what we're doing right now. Like my grandma just died, and there's just so much to deal with, and my dad just refuses to do any of it. Just doesn't want to talk to any, like the lawyer is his lawyer, but he won't talk to him, and just all these things that make him an active obstacle to getting things done. So these days in particular, I'm like, kind of more mad at him than normal. But with that being said, like the fact that you were able to, long story short, the fact that you were able to step away from the alcohol whenever you want, that speaks to real strength of character, like maybe even stronger than you would imagine. Because when you do like that, like you said, when you're going every day like that, even if it's just a little bit every day, alcohol is a monster, and it's nothing like, it's hard for me to explain it to anybody who's not experienced it or whose family's not involved in it. But like alcohol is a demon, and it's not something that you could typically just let go of like that. So the fact that you were able to, that really does speak highly of you, highly of your strength, your will, and your basically your future in general. Because if you could just do that like that, then you could just do anything if you want to.
Yeah,
Right.
mindset thing. That's why I was saying a while ago, like back at my worst, and I could probably tell you about a time. I'm probably just ruining you guys' day. It was literally right after they cut my finger off, man. Like, but another amazing story. But at a super low point, that I was just drinking and golly, this didn't want to be around anybody. But Blaze was being kept from me. I couldn't see him. I didn't have no kids, 0 kids, and that's all I really wanted. That's all I ever cared about. Back when I was on the other side of the fence, that was truly nothing else. My life, people's lives around me that didn't matter to me, nothing. And so that's one thing that stayed constant, at least. But not being able to see them took a real hefty toll on me. And see, I have gout eating my whole body up. And it's bad. It's both feet, both knees, both elbows, and one of my hands, evidently, but I didn't know what it was. And that knot busted in my knuckle, and my finger tried to kill me. And 2021, yes, December 2021, right there at the end of it. So they did the surgery, kept developing infection, and getting in my bloodstream. It was getting to where they thought they was going to end up having to start cutting other fingers and my hand off. And if it got to that point after that second surgery, they was trying to save it. But no, I told them, go ahead and cut it off on that third surgery. 2 months later, I'm not doing well. I mean, I'm going through therapy and whatnot, and still not seeing my kids. Talking to Valentina, they're making fun of me. I'm Ninja Turtle now. Like it's weird, but I liked it. It was a fun job. It was a good time as far as being a dad and whatnot. But we had this big ice and snow come through. So about 2 inches of ice came through, and then about 6 inches of snow on top of it. So the pond froze up. One of the fillies, just a younger mare, she walked out in the middle of it. It looked like she just danced around on it, so it fell in. So I'm out there trying to get her, and just can't break the ice. And I saw her go into shock, so I ran out there with her to get the rope out from where I fell into. But me falling in broke all the ice up, and we was able to pull her over the levee with the tractor. I pulled her to the house with the 4-wheeler. Short story, 5 hours working with her, saved her life, saved this horse's life. And it just, I don't know, something changed. When I saw bodies of water, like anxiety attacks, that night I got in the shower, trying to warming up and, finally acclimating. My nose just started pouring blood. But I think I got hillbilly hypothermia or something. But after that, I didn't want to be around people at all, not even to pay for gasoline at a gas station. So I just stayed home. I felt like a breeze was blowing on the bottom half of my body for about a month. A lot of crazy things, a lot of crazy negative things and near death stuff like happened to me during this, not being able to be a father time. I would call it, I guess. And that was the only thing that I wanted, was to be a dad, really, because they cared about me. They popped out and they thought I hung the moon, and they deserved the same respect as they gave me from nothing. We created that. It's one of those things is way powerful than our minds can fathom.
Yeah, it's not even a mind thing. It's like a caveman thing. I don't know. It just goes beyond rational thought. You just, like, they're born and you see them, like, it's like it will, for me and Dan, I think it did take a little bit for a huge connection to be made. But you see them when they're born, and just like you flip a switch and it's like, okay, now I know what they mean when they say that this is everything, and I know what people mean when they're like, I'll kill you if you mess with my kids. And like, because that was all just something that you heard. This is one of our other
You won't ever hear me
co-hosts.
say those words.
Well, yeah, I mean, for someone that's lived a life like yours, you probably are a bit more careful about, or even not even really careful. You probably just simply think differently about things than I do.
Yeah, I just do it. If the scenario's about it, it's happening. There's no talking about it. Like if my daughter or my son or my mother or sister, shit's going down. right then. There's no talking about it at all. Things change, and you know when real, oh Lord, like this terrible conversation be coming from a father. However, it is a possibility you'll be running a situation where you may have to take another man or another man's life, and there's so many variables there. It's pitiful, but you cannot think about none of them, not one single one of them, because the most important thing on your mind at that point is supposed to be my kids living. Or, you know, whatever's happening, the end game is we're surviving this shit.
That's real talk right there. I mean, that's
Yeah.
you know, that is the way that it's supposed to be. You know, you don't think about it, don't talk about it, just do it, get it over with, and you know, move on. You know, worst case scenario happens, like you said. But you know, like I said, I don't want you to have to talk the entire time. Dan, anything popping up in your head that you wanted to ask Caleb here?
No, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into anything that, he doesn't want to talk about, but,
No, ask y'all ask the reason. Okay, so if I may, I really wanted to hear some questions for real. Like, so I'll let you know if it's something that just won't talk about. You know, it's not a big deal. Ask away, man.
right on. Yeah, I just wanted to know, well, I mean, not to get too down and depressing or anything, but I just kind of want to know your mindset through this whole, I mean, you've kind of hit, excuse me, you've touched on it here and there, but like just hearing just the little bit you've talked about your whole, well, your story, basically, I'm just like, man, I don't know. Like, I'm not super mentally strong, but I can take, some things, but like going through all that, like I couldn't even imagine. So just if you don't mind, kind of, where were you mentally? Like, how bad did it either mess with you, or did it like, are you still suffering from anything, or did you just kind of like say, no, I'm just gonna do this because this is what I need to do?
The last time I saw my kids before the period where she wouldn't let me see them, Texas, the state wouldn't. She brought them up for Dad's funeral, and then that was it. Boom, gone. I got back with baby mama, and it was a plan. It was a terrible plan, but she back then I wasn't with her when she had my son Blaze, and she later on she wouldn't let me see much. She wanted me, and I literally sacrificed myself. I got back with her so I would have more time with my son because I knew that's the only way that I get time with my son. So while I was with her, I'm struggling with all this stuff. She helped throughout a lot of stuff or whatever, and it helped being with a woman or somebody. No, I didn't ever trust her at all. Knew a lot of what she was doing the whole time. People everywhere. But it was terrible. Even while I was with her, it sucked. But at least I had a shoulder. But at one point, I couldn't be with her anymore, and I left. I came back out here and just stayed full time. I was coming back and forth, real close where I was living at when I was living with her. But I didn't want to live. I was trying to figure out how to say that. I didn't want to live, and I've always been like off the rails as far as whatever, but I've never been suicidal. It's not me. I don't got the balls to do that to myself. It's a lot easier when it's pointed at somebody else or something else. But no, it was terrible. But so right at the end, right when I left Diana the last time, I wouldn't go back. My ex-wife and I were talking, and she's wanting me to sign my rights away. And that's the only way you'll see your kids for Christmas. And she ended up using them to lie to me. Hey, Daddy, crying. Ooh, Valentina, my daughter lives here. Oh, Daddy, the only way she's gonna let you see us is you sign this paper. Is like, baby, you don't know what you don't understand what those papers mean. Like, and it happened exactly like I told Valentina it would. Like, but at that point, I told Alma, this is ex-wife. I said, look, I've got Blaze here, and I see him on a regular basis, and this is killing me every single day. Every day, this is killing me. It's the time I go to sleep, the time I wake up. It's affecting me at jobs. It's look, this is my kids that I've just been ripped out of their lives for no
Yeah.
reason. No reason. No reason. I wasn't a dope head. I wasn't doing the same things that I used to do. And she was married to me the entire time. And I was doing things with that family. Like, I married a particular Mexican family. So any way, like, no, it was terrible. But I told her, I said, look, these kids are watching you. They see this. I've got Blaze here. I've got to let go, and I've got to let God or whatever. I've got to shift my energy so I can do something right here with my son. It's the only thing I can control. I can't control what you're doing down there, but I want you to know them kids are going to watch you. And, is at that point, it became a little bit easier, but I just hit it, just masked the emotions. There was tons of times where I cried, beat the hell out of my steering wheel alone, and like I said, pretty much drank myself to death or tried to. That's how I coped with the emotions. They were terrible. And now it's, I knew I knew I was doing the right things with Blaze, and it became something better. And then the bonus was Valentina moving back here after all of that. And I'm blessed. I feel good. But I know at any time Valentina could choose to move back down there on the border, and then I would be without my daughter. However, I prepared for that back in 2016 with the divorce, and I'm mentally capable of being okay with her being 1,000 miles away, so long as I can come see her and we talk about it before. So it's a lot easier when you're capable of doing something like that.
Right. And now that you have a relationship with her because you see her every day, I'm sure that if she did decide to move in, it wasn't out of anger. It was just out of, hey, I just need a change of scenery. Like, you still would be close with her, and that wouldn't be, it would be still bad that you couldn't see her every day, but it might make it easier, that you can at least talk to her and you're still on good terms and stuff like that. I kind of went through that with my dad. He moved, Corey and I live in Tennessee, and my dad moved away from me about 1,000 miles away when I was 11. So, I kind of, I get that part of it. Those were my formative years. I needed a father figure at the time, and the one that my mom chose, like Corey said, to use his words, was a piece of shit, and still is to this day. And I'm not, it's the truth. I'm not just saying that because of anything, but he's just a piece of work. And yeah, but my dad and I stayed close, and we're closer today than we've ever been. And it's just the fact that he made the effort, like you did, like you're doing with your kids. He made the effort to stay a part of my life, even 1,000 miles away. And he said, I've asked him, was it worth it? And he's like, hell yeah, it was worth it. Like, it sucked at the time. I hated going through all that shit. But now that I get to see you every day, and now that I know you're okay, and that you've turned out to be not a piece of shit, that you're a good person, and that makes it all worth it. And so yeah, we kind of come from similar situations, so I feel for you, man. But one more from me, and I'll turn it back over to one of those two knuckleheads over there. Biggest, I asked a lot of our guests, I try to anyway, the ones that I can make. What advice would you give any dad, just any new dad, or any dad in general, about being a dad?
Patience. a lot of patience, and that goes during the bad times and the good times, because the build up and every positive thing that could happen, I mean, you have to have patience to get there either way it goes, and if you don't, your life is terrible. And back when I didn't, and I knew, and look, and I got to one point where I was telling myself, I've got more patience today than I had yesterday. Just saying it out of the blue, or I've got patience, you got this.
Mhm.
Or even with health, I'm healthier now than I was. And I don't take near as many steroids as I used to have. I'm not saying it's that, but I'm trying to keep my mindset where it's there no matter where my body is. And I'm like using it as a end goal, like point A, P. I'm at point A. That's my goal. Like I'm going there subconsciously on a daily basis, just because I developed a little patience.
Right on. You like gave two bits of advice there in one. I have one kind of silly question, but it can come or go. We're winding down here on the end, and I wanted to let Sam get anything else out there that he might have percolating in his mind. I don't know if he was holding anything back all this time. So, Sam, is there anything you wanted to ask Caleb before we head on down the road here?
Yeah. I mean, hitting on the patience topic, that's a big thing. I struggle with that every day as well. If I had a little bit more time, I could give some examples, but it's a beast. I mean, it's a beast, and having just enough patience will kind of get you by in the short term. It'll let you see what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do, what your short term goals are. But I mean, if you're able to expand on your patience, if you're able to increase your patience, you know, through either lifestyle changes, mindset changes, environment changes, and anything that's within your control, that you can change how you react to, people's comments, people's opinions, people's actions and stuff like that, and if you're able to digest that and change your frame of mind, having more patience will help you see your end goal, your long-term goals to fruition, a lot better. And it tends to kind of work out, and that's something that I'm trying to learn as well, myself with my two kids. And but just to lighten the mood, I did have a question. It was just something we can go over real quick. Was what activities do you enjoy with your children now that help bring a smile to their face? What do you guys share? What kind of common activities do you guys like to do for fun that helps strengthen or helps maintain that bond that you've worked so hard to develop?
Okay, so while it was being developed, even a little bit with Blaze, but especially with Valentina, 100%. I struggle being a father because we're more best friends than anything. And that came from us sneaking around through Snapchat or other different ways that her mother didn't understand to communicate with one another and talking a lot of shit. Talking a lot of shit. Even my son today on the way back, I was picking up some shells. Dove season opens in the morning, so I went to get some shells that he wanted to ride. So he was talking shit to me right before we pulled up in the driveway. And me and Valentina look at each other like bust out laughing. She said, I love this family. And it's those times right there. Those times where they admit that they are happy, truly, not because
Yeah.
of mothers pulling one way or something. Like she has 3 tattoos now at 14 years old because her mother was doing anything she could to pull her that direction. I've told Valentina I want her happy. I support whatever decision she makes. Before school, I had to enroll her in homeschool because she didn't come back from Texas from summer for like it was like 2.5 weeks before school started, and I literally thought she was moving back down there. Nothing prepared, no school enrolled, nothing. So quick, I got with the people, got enrolled in homeschool, so I could get them in a school without being looked at and then being punished for being behind. It's exempt from the whole first 3 weeks of school because I did it like that. It's crazy, but I found a little loophole. If a dad gets behind and don't get their kids enrolled in school when he's supposed to.
Right on. Well, I mean, I bet that happens a lot. Okay,
I
so
I don't know.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. So I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm real bad about that. I did want to throw out my question real quick before we go to Dan and let him end things for us today. Especially for me and Dan, we were actually kind of a musical group there for a while. But music plays a really big part in our lives. It really affects us emotionally one way or the other. And I was wondering, just on a personal note, you've gone through some really dark times, and you came out, the other end. What kind of music, if you did have a type or a group or an artist, what did you listen to when you were, really bad? Like when like when you were in the car punching your steering wheel, like what was playing on the radio?
Tool mostly. Tool got me through a lot of stuff for decades. Um, and Slipknot, 5 Finger Death Punch. They, I did get into some rap, but it was just because I was running with some people that was part of that lifestyle or whatever. Like Houston, Texas was fun, man. Like I have to tell you that, but not much, not a whole lot of rap. Um, in those rageful times, I swear sometimes at the worst, it would be Beethoven or Bach, like Symphony Number 3. Most of that was real good, and that's when my brain was like tunnel vision, seeing red, and everybody's bleeding. Like I can't be around nobody. That was at a point that I was at for shit. I don't know, about 6 months at one point. Like because I came from this life where things were violent, rage, full of rage, and real intense every day. Sleeping with guns underneath your pillow. And just ready for whatever, no matter if it's going to happen or not. Just living on edge to back on the farm in Mississippi. Like, and it was, oh Lord, like there was no way to spin the rage. And I really wasn't just dating too much, like at that point anyway. So there was no, release as well. Like, just, so yeah, Tool would be probably one of my favorites, but most memorable bands from that period.
That's awesome. I you didn't surprise me too much with Slipknot and Five Finger, but Tool kind of caught me by surprise there. I was not expecting you to say that. That's cool though. Sam apparently is a huge fan of Tool, for judging from his reaction. So, I saw him once in Hawaii and when I was in the Army, and they were really cool. Well, I tried to see him again, but it was like way too much for my level of fandom. I am going to see Wheeler Walker Jr. This month. If anybody has yet to hear by him, you should look him up. He is awesome. He's country music, but it's like funny stuff. So, anyways, that's a shout out. I think I've shouted him out before on this podcast. So he owes me at least I don't know, a nod or a wink or something like that, some sort of acknowledgement in some way. All right. So as we always do, we like to end every show on a high note, no matter how sad it was, how deep we got into the dark side of the human existence. And he never disappoints. Rather, we've got Dapper Dan coming with his dastardly discount dad jokes. I think there's actually more to it than that.
All original.
Oh, yeah, all original.
All original. There you
go. And he always leaves us laughing. So go ahead, Dan, and give us your all original, never heard anywhere else before, unless it was stolen, dad joke.
That's right. All right. What airline did Jesus and Mary travel on?
Oh my God. I don't know, Dan.
Nobody?
No.
What? Okay.
I'm wondering. I'm very curious what it's going to be, though.
So the airline that Jesus and Mary traveled on was called Virgin.
Oh, okay. Wow. That was. Wow. I mean, I don't know why I expected anything different. You're a Christian. You're on this podcast, but you really had me wondering. You had me wondering, and then it turned into just a regular old dad joke. So
yep, it is a dad joke section.
Oh, yeah, it is a dad joke. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean,
Fair point.
fair point. Fair point. That'll be
Fair
an
point.
interesting clip when I release that one. All right, so another successful all original written first by Dan and then shared amongst whoever has told it since then. Dad joke. And with that, I guess we are going to go ahead and kick it out. I hate that we have to go early. I say early because we usually go like an hour and a half or something, but just the listens, they go way up when the time goes way down. So we are trying to keep it in a digestible amount of time. And I think that an hour pretty well hits that mark. So Caleb, man, you've been awesome. You've been, super like free with your story. You've given us, you've given us a ton to think about. I think you've given anybody that listens to this a ton to think about. And I will definitely be putting it out much sooner than, like right now, there's, 8 or 9 or whoever knows how many people in front of you, but I'm not going to make you wait that long because your story is a lot more interesting than most of them. So I'll let you know when we're going to get it out. Maybe we get it out on YouTube a little earlier.
I hope they don't hate me because of this now.
Oh no.
None of them know like what order they're in or anything like that, so they won't know that somebody jumped ahead of them. So with that being said, any of you guys got anything left?
No, I just want to say thanks again for coming on, man. Hang in there. Your story. I meant to say this but I didn't want to cut you off. The alcohol and the struggle and the beating your steering wheel in tears is the part that the world doesn't see with dads, and that's kind of what we're trying to change. And we are human. We're not just men that don't have feelings or anything. We do, and shit bothers us and gets to us and gets us down. And I just want to tell you, keep your head up, man. Keep plugging away. Do it for them kiddos, man. They love you. They need you. And big props to you, man. And anytime you ever need any of us, if you're having a bad day, reach out and maybe we can do this again. I'm sure you've got more to share than we could get to in an hour. And I know I could probably speak for them too, that we'd love to hear more from you.
Y'all don't hold back with your questions next time. Like ask me some stuff. I won't go too far, but that's the reason why I do this. So like some of this stuff needs to be heard for real, like or written down. Like it's crazy.
Right on, man. I will definitely keep you in the in the files, so to speak. We'll come back around again and hit you up for a number 2 and get a little bit more in depth. I usually do come with questions, but you had so much to talk about that like I was figuring that we just wouldn't have time to really get to the like things like
I apologize. Oh man,
no.
I'm sorry.
Oh no. You did exactly what I hoped you would do. You basically gave us an hour's worth of content and we didn't even have to push for anything. I wouldn't even have needed like it could have just been me and you and you still would have helped me fill the hour. So we are appreciative of that. Anything from you, Sam?
No, we'll talk offline.
Right on. All right, then. I guess once again, Caleb, thanks, man, and thanks for your story. And I'm sure it's going to help, at least one of those people out there. You've definitely given multiple topics a lot of time, and one of those is going to touch somebody. So thanks again. And like I said, we look forward to having you back. For you two dads, this is Corey, and I'll check you guys later.
Check you later.
Check you later.
Thank you guys as well.
All right, so that's it for the audio, and any of this will be on the YouTube if we do have anything. So, Sam, what do you got?
Caleb, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to look me up on Facebook or Messenger or something like that. Add me. I think you and I can talk about quite a few things. And maybe, like I said, I don't know what age bracket you're in or what point in your life or anything you're at right now, but
40.
I'm okay. So you're a couple years younger than me. I'm 42. So so we have some, I think we could have some pretty relatable conversations. Tool is, like what Corey was saying, Tool was a big part of a lot of things with me. And so is music. Like I said, I was a lifelong user and drinker myself, and I had to put myself through rehab and make a lot of life changes. In that vein, like I said, man, I think you and I could have quite a few conversations and stuff like that. And I really would like for you to add me so we can maybe continue this offline. stuff like that. So I don't know if you could see it or
Got you.
not,
Heck yeah.
but I've got a tattoo from a particular song that I dedicated to,
Oh
just
heck.
a struggle in my life. It's the flaming eyeball that Alex Gray painted for the Lateralus album.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got that tattooed on my shoulder, and I've got the lyrics to The Patient on my left arm,
Yeah.
on my left shoulder. That was a
Powerful lyrics.
very, that band is all about self-development and, awareness and trying to navigate life in the best way that you can and survive, and and try to come out on top. There's so much depth and understanding that escapes people just off lyrics alone, that whether you like them or whether you don't, that. And
Right.
I
Right.
could turn you on to some other bands that are alongside in that vein too. Like I said, I believe you and I could have quite a few beneficial conversations, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
That tool's
Yes,
awesome, man.
I do as well. Heck yeah.
I'm glad you guys were able to connect, in a way beyond the podcast, on a more personal level. When you started to talk about the alcohol, and then you combine that with basically being a single dad, kind of figured that you and Sam would click on a level that maybe, me and Dan didn't really have any experience with. So I'm glad that you guys got that.
I'm a single dad of 2 kids myself,
Hell yeah.
and it's
So that's really cool. Yeah, and as far as the TikTok, that's always me. So Sam, you'll have to hit up on Facebook.
All right.
And it's a, I don't know. Did you tell him your last name?
Or maybe send me, like, you care to send me his name in a TikTok message, or even on Facebook Messenger, either one. And
I'll go to his page and get a link to his profile, and then send it to you in Messenger.
perfect.
All right, then.
A bunch.
I don't have anything else. I don't have anything special for the YouTube listeners. Anything to blow your socks off. This is just a little bit extra.
Something cool. Like, drums actually paid my way through college. I had a full scholarship, 10th grade in high school. I played the quads and the quints. It ended up being sextuplets at the local college here, but I didn't do anything with it because I was doing other things. We was getting 5-gallon buckets of pills out of Memphis and supplying 4 counties, and really, I just did that for show. They gave me that for a reason, and I just to get grants for the high school or something. They just hand out scholarships like it's crazy in that school.
That must be nice.
So music is a big part of my life. I rarely ever play the guitar anymore since I lost my fingers. That ring finger is my main pressing finger. I got something to show you guys.
It's all, what is that? Can anybody tell?
Oh, Lord.
It's blurry. Oh, is that the finger?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't believe they let you keep it.
Damn.
Wow. Usually I thought they threw that stuff away.
No.
They send it off for biopsy. Whatever they cut off of you, they send it to a facility that does biopsies on it to test it for disease and whatnot. And then they discard it. But me, I pulled some strings, and I had to pay that biopsy facility $176, and they shipped it back to the surgeon. And they called me that day, and they made a big deal about it. But it's mine. It's mine, right? I don't know why I had to pay them.
Yeah. You had to pay him to cut it off. You had to pay him to give it back. Like, what the fuck?
Right. My premium went through the roof after that shit.
Oh man. Yeah, that's one thing I don't I'm lucky I don't have to deal anything with. Like, being a vet, I just I just go to the VA. It's kind of hard when you need to actually
yeah.
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, it doesn't work out so well when you need to get into the mental health department. Like, they bet that, I don't know, I blackballed or something. I don't know what the fuck it is.
At the VA, you said?
Yeah, like I've been trying to get back in to see a therapist for fucking, I don't know, almost 6 months now.
Don't get me started on the VA, dude. It's terrible what they're doing to the people that put their life on the line or did any kind of job for this country. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They screwed my dad over pretty good too. So sympathy there, brother.
I used to talk really highly of them, you know, like, oh, they never did anything bad to me, but like, I can't get back in. I don't know what it is. I've talked to my doctor. That doesn't matter. YouTube people don't need to fucking hear about that. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Dan's got a kick out of here in about 15 minutes. He's got something to do. And I think Sam's daughters are talking to him right now about what they have to do.
Yeah, it's dinner time. We're gonna do pizza and movies and stuff like that. And I got to go pick up my quad playing band member, you know, musician daughter from, you know, from the. I'm sorry, it's not quads anymore. It's bass drum. I've been corrected.
Yeah, I was gonna say I played bass drum. I wasn't good enough to play quads, but right. I played bass drum. So anyway, did she want to say hi? She's never said hi. Okay. Well then, she's not going to be YouTube famous. I apologize for that. We are, you know, we are known nationwide, worldwide, on YouTube and Spotify as huge stars in the dad field.
That's true.
You know, maybe one day, when she's a little older, she can, what do they call it? Nepo baby. She can be a Nepo baby and,
Nepo baby.
Yeah, feed off of your success from the podcast.
Oh, Lord.
So I guess with that, we're going to say goodbye again. A little bit more, you know, casual this time around. So, everybody, you know, thanks again for showing up one more time, and we'll get a plan going. I don't know what we'll do about the military interview, Sam. I might just schedule one, and then if you can make it, you can make it, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And then Dan, you know, unless something changes, I'll probably see you next Friday.
All right, man.
And Caleb, you know, keep liking those TikToks, man. Appreciate that. And
simple. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, no,
yeah, man,
problem.
Appreciate you.
You know, thanks again. You've, you know, like I said, you gave us all a lot to think about, and you know, every one of these helps us grow. And talking to you, you know, I've grown a little bit more. So, you know, appreciate that. And like Dan said, we'll try and get you back as soon as we can. Even if we don't record it, you know, we could talk for an hour or whatever.
Same here, man. I'm learning as well. These videos help me out as well. So thank you guys for what you guys do.
Hey, if you're that one guy that we're helping, man, then I'm glad to have met you. I was wondering if it was going to be one, and apparently it was. It's only one, but all the same, you know, that made it worth it. So I'm going to go up here and put my baby to bed. Sam's going to go have some pizza, and Dan's going to do whatever he's got at 8:30. And we will, you know, reconvene next time. You guys take it easy. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. See you later.
Thanks, guys. All right.
See you guys.
See you, man.
Adios.
I want you to know it's over.
Well. Bye.
You smell that, Bill? Smells like someone died.